Hi there, and welcome to the Alberta Update, a look at what's happening in your province. I am your host, Bruce McAllister. Thank you for being with us today. Coming up, the Premier is going to drop by. She was meeting with the Western Canadian Premiers earlier in the week. We'll talk to her about that and much, much more. She's got a very busy schedule. The Minister of Energy and Minerals, Brian Jean, will be by. He'll talk about the Global Energy Show in Calgary. And Minister of Infrastructure, Peter Guthrie, will be here to talk about some of the things the province is doing in the field of infrastructure. All that and much, much more coming up on the Alberta Update. First, as we always do, we try to say hello to the Premier first. And there she is again. Premier, good to see you. Thank you again for joining us.
Hi, Bruce. Nice to see you.
You've got a few travel miles on this week for sure. You were in Whitehorse with the Western Premiers at the beginning of the week. Can you tell us what were some of the key topics discussed there?
Well, I have to tell you, it's such a wonderful table to be at. We've got two governments with the Nunavut and Northwest Territories that are consensus governments. So they get elected and then they choose their premier from within the people who got elected. And so I think it makes for some really interesting discussions around trying to find common ground. And that's the culture that's at the table of these premiers meetings, is that it's amazing that you have everyone from a conservative to a liberal to an NDP to a consensus government, and we're able to come up with so many areas of agreement. And I think that the biggest area where we're aligned now is on the need for an investment in strategic infrastructure for all of us to be able to identify the ports that will allow us to get our critical minerals and products to market, as well as, especially since we're talking about our northern communities, have dual use so that they can also engage in some Arctic security issues as well. So I think that what I like is how we're sort of framing it out for the federal government, how they can meet their 2% NATO commitment on defense and still also be able to provide the export infrastructure, critical minerals and defense apparatus that we have here. So that's the kind of thing that I think we can bring to the table. And I'm just so pleased to see that everybody is very much in sync with getting the most for each member that resides in each of our respective territories. And we've been able to find some great common ground.
I want to pivot a little bit, Premier, to something that happened at the Western Premiers meeting. While you were there was an announcement from the Prime Minister, a big announcement of funding to Quebec to deal with some mass immigration issues that they're dealing with. You and many other premiers are saying, "Hey, wait a second! Now we're dealing with the same things in our provinces. We ought to have a deal too." Before I get your reaction on it, I just want you to hear what BC Premier Eby had to say about it.
And so to see a single province agreement with Quebec is an underlining of a sense of frustration that I heard around the table. And I won't put this on anyone else, but I'll say for British Columbia, how frustrated we are to see the money being showered down on Quebec and Ontario and us scrabbling around for what's left over. It's not acceptable. It is not okay.
Some pretty strong words for the federal government, Premier, and I gather you would echo what the Premier in BC has to say.
Well, look, let me first be sympathetic to Quebec Premier François Legault, because it is the case that with that Roxham Road crossing and with the international stature that Montreal has as a destination of choice, they do get a very large number of newcomers coming to their province. And with the federal government being, I think even by their own admission, irresponsible in how they've managed that, it's putting additional burden on Quebec. And so they do need additional dollars to be able to settle a newcomer population, but so do we, and so do British Columbia. British Columbia is growing at a rate of 10,000 newcomers a month, and we had over 200,000 people come to Alberta last year, 70,000 of which are Ukrainian evacuees. So the federal government likes to play favorites, and I think you saw Premier Eby responding to that. The frustration that all they seem to care about is winning votes in Quebec and Ontario, as opposed to being fair to all of the provinces. The Western provinces are net contributors to Confederation, and we are the growing areas of the country. We are a destination of choice for newcomers. And so what the federal government should be doing is funding each of us on either an equal per capita basis for essential programs at a minimum, or on the basis of the extra pressure that happens when you do invite newcomers to come to the country. And so you can't just have a one province deal. It's absurd. We, and I'm sure that other provinces as well, facing the same settlement challenges, we'll all be asking for the same per capita amount so that we can make sure that people are settled, learning the language, getting connected to business opportunities, getting support in their community, getting rent. Like, these are all the things that happen to a newcomer population, that the federal government has an obligation to support each province equally.
Well, talk to any of our social services providers in Alberta, and they'll certainly tell you the strain they're feeling. So good on you and Premier Eby for bringing it up. Hey, listen, there was some good discussion also about supporting development, about economic corridors, maybe even the future hydrogen economy. What else can you tell us about your gathering with the Western Premiers?
Well, it won't surprise you. I've got a lot of common cause with Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe. We've already signed a memorandum of understanding on working together on economic corridors, as well as electricity infrastructure. And I suspect that you'll see us do more in partnership together on that. I've got a great relationship with BC on a number of different issues. I mean, let's look at Port of Prince Rupert. That is the port that feeds the export line for not only Alberta but also for Saskatchewan and Manitoba, and it's going to be increasingly important to us. So that, as well as the opening of LNG Canada and the Trans Mountain Pipeline, I think that we're seeing a demonstration of how vitally important it is for the Western leaders to all work together so that we can keep those lines open. We want to be supportive of our territorial friends. Grays Bay is the main port that Nunavut and Northwest Territories want to open up, which will open up a world of critical minerals export. And so we want to also register support for them as well. And I think Yukon is going to try to do some work in getting Skagway to be a port of export for them as well. And I think I'm very pleased to see all of the premiers operating along the same model, that we can mutually support each other. We all have different strengths, but the main thing that we need is a federal government focused on its job. The federal government's job is to make sure that they have port infrastructure and that they're building roads and railways and assisting us with building highways so that we can get our products to market. That's the reason that the constitutional founders gave trade and commerce to the federal government, is so they could help us, not stand in our way. And so I think that's why you're seeing that elevate in importance for all the premiers, as a sense of frustration that we find that the federal government is more interested in trying to micromanage how we deliver school lunch programs than focusing on their main goal, which is to ensure the economic prosperity of every region of this country. And so having each of those voices say that in chorus, I think is going to be good, not only for each of our regions, but also for Canada as a whole.
The Global Energy Show in Calgary this week, I know you gave a keynote there. You participated in several roundtables. Boy, there was optimism there, wasn't there? And certainly coming from you when you talk to stakeholders and those visiting nationally, internationally, about the importance of the work we're doing here in Alberta.
Well, you know, if you say it once, you can say it 100 times. We are not transitioning away from oil and gas production. We're transitioning away from emissions production. They're two different things. And we've already had great success in reducing methane emissions, in reducing the energy intensity of a barrel of production for our bitumen. And we're going to continue to with things like the Pathways project for oil sands and the carbon capture utilization and storage pipeline and hub that they're creating, along with all of the other hubs and carbon capture facilities that are taking place. We've already got a number of net zero projects that are underway. Dow Chemicals, net zero petrochemical plant to decarbonize plastics. We've got Air Products with their net zero hydrogen, which will help us build out a brand new economy for heating, for electricity, as well as for transportation. And then, of course, we're hoping to see a final investment decision from Heidelberg, which will decarbonize 50% of all the cement that is used in Western Canada with their net zero facility. And so why wouldn't we be optimistic? I mean, what we've seen is finally, I think, a breakthrough on the technology, proving out carbon capture at scale, but also finding new innovative ways to be able to reduce emissions. And I think that we can be a world leader, not only in providing the fuels and the building materials in a decarbonized way that the world needs, but also in exporting this technology so they can do the same. So as far as I'm concerned, nowhere to go but up. And I just wanted to make sure everybody in that room, I think there's 30,000 people in total at that conference, so that Alberta is open for business. And we are very keen to continue with increasing our production. I always say it as well that I'd love to see us double our oil and natural gas production, because I think we're going to have the best barrels out there and that the world needs more of it.
Judging by the applause you got, I think people heard your message loud and clear. I'll leave you with this. You've recently spoken to many different business organizations, the Alberta Chambers of Commerce, the Calgary Chambers of Commerce, the Business Council of Alberta, et cetera, et cetera. What are you hearing from the business community, and maybe what are you telling them about Alberta?
Part of what I'm trying to do is say that when we work together with Canada, that is better for everyone. And there are lots of opportunities where we have been able to work together. There are lots of opportunities where we have successfully partnered. And I just wish we would do more of the same. I don't know why it is the federal government takes pot shots at us. I don't know why it is they continue to come through with offensive legislation outside their area of jurisdiction, and why they create the uncertainty that they do. But we're trying to push them as hard as we need to back into their lane so that we can address the issues that we share, which is emissions reduction. We want to work on that. But we also know that if we continue to grow our energy sector and all of the additional green technologies associated with that, that's good for us and it's good for Canada. So we're going to continue to work on that. And that's what I want the business community to know, is that number one, we want collaboration and we want to work together. But in the event that the federal government is pushing against us, we're going to push back to make sure that the business community has the confidence they need to invest.
Thanks for doing this, and we'll see you next time.
You bet. Thanks, Bruce.
All right, there's the Premier, Danielle Smith, joining us on the Alberta Update. Well, downtown Calgary was a busy place this week with the Global Energy Show here, as we just discussed with the Premier. That conference brings together 30,000 people, over 500 companies, more than 400 speakers and presenters. Brian Jean, Alberta's Minister of Energy and Minerals, was front and center throughout the week, speaking in several roundtables and addressing the group. Good to see you, Minister. Thanks for popping by.
Pleasure to be here. I wouldn't say I was front and center, though, Bruce. The Premier was like a rock star. She was amazing. Everybody was talking about what a great job she's doing on the energy file. I'm so proud of her. All of our caucuses, all of our cabinet is. It's great. Albertans should truly be proud of her and her position on our energy file.
Well, that's it's good of you to say, but I'll tell you what, I was there too, and heard a lot of similar things said about you. So good work to you. Hey, the first question is this. With you spending so much time there, in the current political climate, with this industry seemingly under attack almost every day from Ottawa, from the Prime Minister and that crew, how important is this show?
Well, it's very important. The world has got its eyes on us. I just came back from Japan, and then before that, Korea. But in Japan, I was at an energy show, and I mean, compared to this energy show, no disrespect, but it just wasn't as vibrant. It wasn't as large. It wasn't as exciting. People here are excited because they recognize that truly our Premier is leading the way on energy development for the energy sector. We know that energy can be very good as far as the environment goes and as far as people go. We just have to focus on people, focus on the environment, make sure that we don't allow those bad actors within our jurisdiction to act that way. Yep. And people are excited. They know that good actors, good companies, good businesses, they're the ones that are creating energy and opportunity for people, and they're doing a great job of it. So they like to have somebody coming to their back, and the Premier, our cabinet, we have their back.
Yeah, listen, I spent a lot of time there myself this weekend. I'll tell you what, the vibe from people was very positive, and things appear to have flipped. What would you say your main takeaway was, or a couple of takeaways? What are you walking away from the show feeling?
Well, the first is that Alberta really is energy, and energy is Alberta. The excitement, the size of the crowds, the people that are getting involved, the people that want to come here to Alberta to invest, it's real, and it's from Korea to Japan to Europe. Everybody I talk to is so excited about what Alberta has to offer and recognizes for the first time ever, truly, how significant Alberta is in the energy inventory space. I mean, whether it's lithium or oil and gas, titanium, helium, vanadium, I mean, we have so much opportunity here in Alberta, and the world knows it.
Minister, we've heard a lot. I want to switch gears a little bit. We've heard a lot about Bill C-59. I guess that's known as the federal gag order. How will this legislation impact investment in Alberta, and I guess specifically to our oil and gas industry?
Well, first of all, I want to tell you, Bruce, that I believe that this current Liberal government is a sunset government. It's desperate. It's trying to claw its way back into reality for people, but people are not going to have anything of it. This is another example of overstep, and frankly, who would not want the opportunity to speak truth to power? We need to have the opportunity to speak our minds, to have the freedom of expression, the freedom of opportunity. These things are real, and they mean real things in Alberta. And to have, the federal government have overstep and try to gag it just seems ludicrous. This is an opportunity to market the products and talk about how great the products are, whether it's oil and gas or whether it's, green infrastructure. We need to be able to have those discussions, and we need to have the market lead that discussion to make sure that we get the proper outcomes. And we can't do that if we're having a gag order. And frankly, and I know that, who are they going to gag? They're going to gag the industries they don't like, but it's overstep, it's overreach. And what is the outcome they are looking for? Don't they want good debate? Don't they want people to come to the truth? We certainly do. That's the best way to have the outcomes that we need, is to have the truth be brought up.
I've heard the Premier say, Minister, I know you have too, if Bill C-59 passes, she'll likely be the first person charged because she is not going to stop her advocacy for the ministry, for our industry. I would assume I can put you in that same camp.
Well, I would certainly be in place to protect the Premier from that. I would hope that I would be the first one to go. She needs to stay where she is and make sure she continues to govern so well for Albertans. But truthfully, I hope it doesn't get to that. The courts are, sometimes we think that the courts are out of touch, but truly the courts are not out of touch. They recognize what's going on in the international sphere. And there is a move away from some of these draconian measures by governments that force people to, have specific energy needs that are just not realistic. Whether it's, nuclear or SMRs, those are, 7 to 10 years away at least. We need to recognize that it's not about lowering oil and gas production or oil and gas consumption. What it is about lowering emissions. If it's really about emissions, which I believe it is, then Alberta's the best poised jurisdiction in the world to deal with it. We have the best geology in the world for carbon capture and sequestration, and we know how to do it. We've been doing it for almost 100 years safely, and we can continue to do it very effectively. I will tell you this, Bruce, the two most topical situations for any foreign government or foreign company is, number one, CCUS. How do we do CCUS? How do we do it so safely? And they want to know, and we're helping them do it because we think it's an important step for us. But the second question is our AER. We have the best energy regulator in the world, and we're trying to find ways to make sure that other jurisdictions have this great regulator so we can continue to be the leader we are here in Alberta on energy right across the country, right across the world. It's very important. And Alberta, really, with 4.6 million people, we're a leader, and we should be proud of that. Albertans should be proud of their energy sector. We do it better than anybody else. We have nothing to apologize for. Go Alberta. Alberta's great, and the world knows it.
100%. We are innovators and entrepreneurs, and we'll find the solutions to some of these global problems that we're facing. Listen, before I let you go, you touched on Japan a minute ago when we started this conversation. Anything else for Albertans to know about your visit there? What would your takeaway be from your trip to Japan?
There are trillions of dollars of opportunity for Albertans to really, truly be part of democracy, energy security in the world, and making sure that we end energy poverty. We've got a tremendous opportunity in front of us with Japan and Korea relating to ammonia and hydrogen. These are clean opportunities for the world, and frankly, Alberta's in the best position to generate it here in Alberta. And Korea, Japan know it. They are actively pursuing us, and we are actively pursuing them. We think it's a great opportunity to show the world what we can do on clean energy and making sure that we have the infrastructure necessary to get it through. So we're very close. We're working with CN, with BC, and with the federal government, and we believe that we're going to have a solution in short order that is going to truly make a significant economic impact on Alberta, on Western Canada, and frankly on Canada. It's $1 trillion opportunity, and we're the best poised in the world to take advantage of it. So I'm excited about what we can offer to Japan, a democracy on the other side of the world. We need to be friends with our friends and make sure that they recognize that we're there for them when they need us.
You bet. Minister, we appreciate your time. As always, here's hoping you get a bit of a break this summer. You certainly deserve it.
Oh, well, Bruce, I'll just tell you, Albertans, if they knew what our Premier was doing, would be so proud. We really are knocking out of the park every day, and it's because we have great leadership. So thanks again, Bruce, and thanks for what you do.
All right, Minister of Energy and Minerals, Brian Jean, on the Alberta Update with us today. Speaking of the Premier, in other news, Premier Smith announcing a contract that will ensure emergency air rescue services continue. With new 10 government grant, STARS Air Ambulance will be able to enhance its critical care services, continuing to connect Alberta's rural and remote communities to essential health services in times of emergency.
It is such an honor to be here at STARS headquarters in the great city of Calgary, and thanks to the STARS staff for making us feel so welcome and showing us around your impressive facility. It's one thing to see your iconic red helicopters from a distance, but it is something else entirely to see them up close and to be in one. STARS is a truly made in Alberta success story. Before it was founded, getting sick or injured far from a major medical center meant a long trip by road to the nearest hospital. That's why we're pleased to announce today that we've entered into a 10-year service agreement with STARS. They have the fleet, personnel, and medical expertise we need to optimize response times. This collaboration with STARS will help us to deliver exactly that by extending our reach to the remotest corners of Alberta and beyond, so that Albertans can always rely on access to the best emergency services.
Alberta's government is providing rural communities with more than $3.2 million in grants for local projects that drive innovation and growth in rural areas. As RJ Sigurdsson, the Minister of Agriculture and Irrigation, tells us, this funding will help promote innovation and sustainable economic growth across the province.
Hi, I'm RJ Sigurdsson, Alberta's Minister of Agriculture and Irrigation. Our government recognizes that Indigenous and small communities play a vital role in the province's economic landscape. Working together with nonprofits, they tap into opportunities and tackle challenges to help grow the economic footprint in rural Alberta. To help this momentum keep going, we established the Small Community Opportunity Program. I'm thrilled to announce this program has awarded more than $3.2 million in grants for community-led projects that will build capacity in agriculture, small business supports, and local economic development. Nonprofits, Indigenous, and small communities have received up to $100,000 to complete local projects that will make a positive impact in rural areas. All 43 projects support our economic development and rural Alberta plan with initiatives on agritourism, marketing and investment attraction, leadership and skills development, strategic planning for economic growth, and so much more. As the projects are implemented across the province, they will help promote innovation, diversification, and sustainable growth. I encourage you to learn more about the Small Community Opportunity Program and all these exciting projects at alberta.ca.
An estimated 1 in 6 Albertans will develop prostate cancer in their lifetime. It is one of the leading causes of cancer-related deaths among men in Alberta. This week is Men's Health Week, and Alberta's government is supporting innovative ways to improve prostate cancer care. Early diagnosis and intervention are critical to ensuring those individuals receive appropriate treatment and recover to live their best healthy lives. Through an investment of $3 million over 2 years, Alberta will increase the availability of 3 different scans that help detect prostate cancer. It is recommended that men talk with their doctor about prostate cancer and begin screening between the ages of 45 and 50. Well, the big story in Calgary this week was certainly the water main break that affected so many people. The city is responsible, of course, for maintaining its infrastructure, but this is impacting over 1 million people and 3 communities outside of the city that rely on Calgary for water. So we thought we would bring in our infrastructure minister this week to chat about it and some other things in his portfolio. There is Peter Guthrie, the Minister of Infrastructure. Minister, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Happy to be
Hey,
here.
as I said, this is a city of Calgary issue, obviously, but I would assume you and your department are keeping a pretty close eye on things as well.
Yeah. As you're saying there, this is a local issue. Local water and wastewater systems; those are handled by the municipalities. They're funded locally through local tax dollars, but also through the province, and then there sometimes can be contributions from the federal government, but ultimately planning, design, construction, maintenance, that's all done at the local level. In a situation like in Calgary, in fact, I live in Cochrane. We had the very similar thing happen here just late last year, where the wastewater system went and there was a check valve problem, and all the water from Cochrane's reserve drained away. We've gone through this before. The province is there to lend a hand whenever we are needed. For Calgary here, we had set up a 24/7 incident command center to help direct traffic. And I guess from the perspective of my department, infrastructure, we're in charge of all of the government buildings across the province. So we're trying to do our part by shutting down all of our sprinkler systems. We're doing everything that we possibly could to abide by the restrictions that were going on in Calgary, just like every other citizen in the province, and in Calgary region, and looks like they did a terrific job.
Yep, fabulous. Hopefully things will be back to normal soon. Minister, it's been a year, I guess, since the government was reelected. Tell us more about the Ministry of Infrastructure and some of the things that you've been up to in your department over the last year.
Yeah, actually, we've been up to quite a bit. We have a $25 billion capital budget over the next few years in the province. About $6 billion-ish of that resides with my department. I would say the most kind of recent things that we've done that are the bigger ones would be the Calgary Cancer Center. That's been handed over to AHS. Right now, they're filling it with furniture and equipment to get it ready for a fall opening. We also finished substantial completion on the Red Deer Justice Center. That too is having furniture and equipment put in it as we speak. And then we just finished a P3 bundle. It's a high school bundle. This is 5 schools that were all being built simultaneously in Edmonton, Langdon, Black Falls, Leduc. They all finished this about a week ago, actually, on time, on budget. They'll all have kids running through the halls in September. And then as far as a go forward basis, we have 98 different schools. About half of those have been funded for construction. We have over 50 different projects on the health side. So that includes things like the Red Deer Hospital project. That's a major project that we're working on. Design of the Stollery Hospital. There's a maternity center that's and health unit that's being built in Lacrete. 9 recovery centers. So we have lots happening throughout the province.
Yeah, you've got a lot to keep track of for sure. And I know we just can't build the schools fast enough given how many people are coming to Alberta. Minister, you passed in the last session Bill 13, the Real Property Governance Act.
Right.
What does the act mean for Albertans?
Yeah, the Department of Infrastructure, we are not a real policy-driven department. We're in charge of buying and selling of land, of leasing our properties, and building capital infrastructure. So putting forward a major piece of legislation is not something that's common, but yeah, we put forward Bill 13. And really what we're doing here is we're trying to solve 2 problems. The first one is we didn't have really good line of sight on all of our government properties. So that's all the ones within our departments and with agencies, boards, and commissions. If I wanted to know from one department to the next who held what, I'd have to go to that department, and it was very arduous, the process. So we're centralizing, bringing in all of that information, and we're going to create a public interface for searching and being interactive, I guess, as far as knowing what our public infrastructure is and allowing everybody to have access to that. The second part to this, which is it's actually quite a surprise, Bruce, but it's common across all of Canada. So one of the things that we do is we buy land, we build infrastructure, and then what we do is we transfer that asset away, typically for $1, to our agencies, boards, and commissions. And we lose access and control over that asset. But if we want to use that land in the future, typically what we have to do is we have to go and purchase that land again at market value from a board that's already on our consolidated balance sheet. And if we wanted to lease that property, we would have to do so at market value. So sometimes we end up actually having to walk away and go and repurchase lands using taxpayer dollars. So it was a very odd thing. And so what we did is we're going to stop that policy. We'll retain ownership within the main entity, being the government of Alberta, and we're going to shift to long-term leases with those government agencies. So there's a lot of other nuances to it, but like a right of first refusal on all lands that may be sold by agencies, boards, and commissions. But it's something I think that's going to save the taxpayer millions of dollars every single year going forward. And so it's a real benefit.
It sounds really common sense to
Yeah,
me,
it
and
does.
probably anybody listening. Hey, does it impact? Does this Governance Act impact schools and other facilities? Anything we need to know there?
Yeah, that was a common question that we were getting was around the school systems, and really no, it does not have any impact. There's no change in operational costs. School boards are still in control as to whether or not they're going to deem land to be surplus, and this is on a go forward basis, so it's not retroactive. I guess probably the biggest differences might be that from the right of first refusal, currently a school board has to give right of first refusal to the municipality. Now it's the government of Alberta that would have that first right. So I guess that's probably the biggest element to it. But yeah, it's like you said, common sense.
Well, it's a big province. It is growing, and you've got your hands full keeping up to everything. Minister, thank you for taking some time to join us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Bruce.
Minister of Infrastructure, Peter Guthrie, joining us on the Alberta Update. Well, on the heels of the success of the Edmonton Navigation Centre, Calgary is getting one of its own. Since launching to help individuals move from encampments, Edmonton Navigation Centre has since helped over 1,800 people connect with supports and services, including everything from addiction treatment to housing and healthcare. Work on the new Calgary Navigation and Support Centre is already well underway and will soon be helping those in need find the resources and assistance that they need.
Most people will never experience the pain and hardship of living rough, but the reality for those who do is cold and lonely and dangerous. Unfortunately, this is the case for far too many people in Calgary. We won't turn our backs on Alberta's most vulnerable citizens. We won't turn a blind eye to the criminals who prey on them, and we won't allow misery and despair to have a home in our cities. We have a solution, and we know it works. In Edmonton, 7 ministries joined with local social service agencies and Indigenous leaders to create Alberta's first navigation and support center. This is a safe central location where people exiting encampments can access the services they need to break the cycle and to rebuild their lives. As part of our recovery-oriented system of care, the Navigation and Support Center brings existing services under one roof. And those who formerly stayed in encampments and anyone experiencing homelessness can access the supports they need quickly and simply. Edmonton Centre has done life-saving and life-changing work. For example, the centre was able to help a refugee from Africa who had lost her housing. She had 2 children and was in desperate straits. Staff were able to set her up with income supports and to get her into a hotel before she moved on to transitional housing. One man who'd been sleeping rough with his dog in cold weather came in with frostbite on his feet, and the centre was able to accommodate him and his dog so that he could get the emergency care that he needed. And an Indigenous woman asked to be reconnected with her sister. When workers reached out to her sister, they learned that the woman's family had believed she was missing and likely dead for over a decade. We want to see more successes with these kinds of interventions, and I'm so pleased to announce that we will be adding a similar navigation and support center here in Calgary. We'll staff the center with people trained in healthcare and housing and shelter supports and Indigenous supports. Clients will receive proper medical care for their wounds and referrals for mental health and addiction treatment. They will find the stability of secure living arrangements. They'll get connections to financial and employment services, and they'll get ID immediately so that they can start accessing supports in the future and make that easier. All of these services will mean a path to a better life for more Calgarians, and I'm grateful to all of our partners who are working with us on Calgary's Navigation and Support Center. This openness to new solutions testifies to everyone's compassion and your determination to resolve the crises that are damaging so many lives. I'm looking forward to the stories of recovery that will come from this center, and with your help, we will make that happen.
It is graduation season here in Alberta. It's that time, and students are looking forward to moving on to post-secondary, entering the workforce, whatever they might be doing. Many also considering what their future careers will look like. For some, it might be pursuing a medical degree, maybe engineering. That's certainly a popular one these days. Others might be looking for careers in trades. You've got welding, you've got carpentry, many, many more. Advanced Education Minister Rajan Sawhney is encouraging anyone interested in the skilled trades to visit the Trade Secrets website to find out how to turn your passion into a paycheck.
Hello there, future builders, creators, and innovators of Alberta. Over the next year, you'll be hearing a lot about the skilled trades in Alberta as we promote the bright future and incredible opportunity they hold for young people. The skilled trades are your ticket to success in Alberta. With a relatively low cost of education, many job openings now and in the future, plus you can earn while you learn. If you're ready to unlock your potential and build a career in the skilled trades that you're passionate about, I would like to tell you about our Trade Secrets website. It is your ultimate gateway to the world of skilled trades right here in Alberta. Whether you're into carpentry, electrical work, plumbing, welding, or any of Alberta's other 50+ designated trades, Trade Secrets has got you covered. So what exactly can you find on Trade Secrets? It's truly a gold mine of resources. From detailed career profiles to comprehensive information on apprenticeship, this website is your one-stop shop for all things related to trades in Alberta. You can find out about job duties, salary expectations, and the apprenticeship education you need to get you there. Current apprentices can manage their applications, register for classroom instruction, upload documents, and track their program progression. If you're ready to turn your passion into a paycheck and carve out a fulfilling career in the trades, head over to tradesecrets.alberta.ca today and get started. That's tradesecrets.alberta.ca.
Well, that does it for this episode of the Alberta Update. Thank you for joining us to find out what your government is up to. You can watch us on YouTube, of course, the Premier's YouTube channel or the Alberta Government YouTube channel, and you can find us on the socials. And we will be doing this update every couple of weeks now that session isn't sitting. So thanks for being with us this time, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Take care.